Hi, this is Matt with State of Flux, here with a review for The Batman. I just got back from this movie, and I was too excited not to talk about it right away. This is a movie that is absolutely fantastic, and I just need to put that on Front Street. I'm also going to put on Front Street that I had some reservations about this movie going in. Right from the get-go, right from when it was first announced, I was a big fan of Ben Affleck as Batman. Even though I wasn't a fan of any of the movies he was in particularly, I thought he was perfect for that character. So when it was announced that he decided to step down and they were going to put somebody else in, and then it ended up being Robert Pattinson. I really didn't respond well to it, as did large chunks of the internet. For me, it wasn't so much the Twilight hang-up. I think that Robert Pattinson is a very fantastic actor, firmly established in many, many good things, a lot of which are independent films in the past 5-10 years. But my biggest hang-up was that I was concerned he wasn't going to look good in the cowl. He doesn't have a firm enough beak, and I still stand by that to some respect. However, I'm happy to say that he is my favorite Batman. He was so good. He is truest to the character of Batman in the comic books in this film. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. Another thing that I was kind of concerned about was tone. We're coming off of two other Batmen that are dark. We have the Dark Knight trilogy, what Christopher Nolan did coming off of Batman and Robin was ground Batman in firm reality and give us a very dark, character-focused narrative of Bruce Wayne. Zack Snyder picked up and decided to one-up Nolan and be like, you thought your Batman was dark? My Batman is dark. And this film kind of carries that tradition along and is tonally darker than either of the other two filmmakers. However, I think he handles that darkness better than either of the other two filmmakers, at least more consistently anyway. Matt Reeves does a great job in bringing Gotham to light, bringing the tone that is necessary for the character of Batman, along with the excellent, soft and reserved performance of Robert Pattinson as Batman and Bruce Wayne. It all gels together really well. This film sort of satiated my my concerns pretty swiftly, but so much so that I have virtually no complaints of the film, only praises. The score by Michael Giacchino is so strong. Batman scores are many, and they are famous, and they are often very, very good. This one stands shoulder to shoulder as equals with the best of them. So I think this is one that you'll be coming back to or humming as you're walking to your car. The cinematography in this film is stunning. It is so good looking, and I liked just the visual language of the film and how Batman is utilized within the frame, often emerging from the darkness. There's a great scene, and you've seen this in the trailers, where the camera is laid inside of a car that is flipped upside down, and you see Batman walking at the top of the frame towards the camera, almost like a bat hanging from the cave ceiling. It's a great shot, and I love it. There's a lot of really clever uses of cinematography in this film. Let's talk about the design work. The sound design. When Batman enters a room, you can feel it in your bones. He has these thudding footsteps, and the movie really treats him sort of like a horror movie monster. You know he's not that because you are framed around knowing that he is your titular hero, but the other people in the room don't know that, including at times like Commissioner Gordon, who is fantastic in this film, played by Jeffrey Wright. He fills those shoes strongly. It's hard to kind of beat Gary Oldman, but we had 3 movies with Gary Oldman. And I think if you just look at Gary Oldman's work in Batman Begins and Jeffrey Wright's work in just this film, I might have to give it to Jeffrey Wright. Overall, I think Oldman does the better job over a 3-film narrative, but let's see what happens in the next installment, Catwoman is fantastic as well. Selena Kyle's a character that has shown up in these movies multiple times over, oftentimes played by very strong performances. Michelle Pfeiffer is scene stealing in her rendition of Selena Kyle, even though it's not at all like the comics in that adaptation. It worked because she made it work. The Dark Knight version of Selena Kyle Catwoman is really strong, much truer to the comics, and I loved what Anne Hathaway did, but Zoe Kravitz really shines here in a way that I've never quite seen her before. She's an actress I quite like, but this is her shining moment. She owns most of this movie, and I urge you to watch it just based on her performance alone. And as long as we're talking about scene-stealing performances, Colin Farrell as the Penguin is amazing. He brings it, he has so much fun with it, and he's like magnetic. Whenever he's on screen, you can't get enough of him. Unfortunately, there's not enough of him in this movie, which is, I guess, one of my few complaints. Rounding out some of the other performances are Paul Dano as the Riddler is quite good. He's not in as much of the movie as I was anticipating, but his presence is felt so strongly throughout that he feels like he's there the whole time. But what little there is of Dano is really, really quite strong. Says a lot about our kind of societal issues in a way that I think is kind of addressing criticisms that were levied at Joker, the 2019 film. I'm one of those people that was heavily critical of the film Joker, and I think this film is kind of a smart response to that criticism using the character of the Riddler. And Dano just brings it. And when I heard he was originally cast, I was like, that's an interesting choice. I don't see it. Having seen the movie, I see it, man. I get it. Excellent job. Cast against type, it worked. I was afraid we were going to have another Mark Zuckerberg, Lex Luthor situation. We're not. Watch Dano, he owns it. And then John Turturro as Falcone is surprisingly fantastic. Now, he's a fantastic actor in general, but his character has a lot more to do than I was anticipating, and he is so good in every scene. I think this is one of the best movies in the DC lineup in general, and I think it's my second favorite Batman movie, only behind The Dark Knight. But as a movie driven by Batman, I think this is even better than The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is great because it's a Harvey Dent story with an excellent performance from Heath Ledger and a great presence of Commissioner Gordon with Batman slung around the rest of the film. This film is a Batman movie, and as a Batman movie, it's more successful than The Dark Knight. It is so good, and this is the perfect Batman movie in that it's the first one that gets Batman right from the comics. He is a hard-boiled detective at his core in the comics. He comes from Detective Comics. That's what DC stands for. And this is the movie that dives deep into that detective narrative. And the film is quite simply a film noir. It feels very like Sin City-esque if you want to compare it to any kind of comic book movie. It feels like that, except not problematic. But that's, I guess, enough I'll say about that. What it does with Batman is that it gives you the haunted, tortured soul. However, it shows you how in saving and redeeming Gotham, Gotham itself saves and redeems Bruce. And I think that combo hasn't really been touched before. You've gotten the Dark Knight Savior narrative plenty of times, but you've not seen how the receptive city saves Bruce. That's unique to this film, and I think that is where the movie stole it for me. There's a shot in the final portion of the movie, in the final few minutes, that is just so inspiring and the most true Batman moment I've ever seen. And it's just as simple as holding on to a person's hand, or arm, I guess. And it's just, that is the weight of heroism in that moment, and I loved it. As I say, score is great. This is a fantastic movie. I'm going to address two things. This movie is poised to come out, and there's lots of rumblings that it could hit 135 million, 150 million. Is it going to get as much as Spider-Man No Way Home? And I'm going to tell you right here and now, I don't think it will. I don't think it has a shot of doing that. Why? Because I think this is a film that cinephiles are going to fall madly in love with, but the general public might not necessarily go there. I almost think that, like, the film is PG-13, mostly to capitalize and bring in, like, that teen audience, but the teen audience that is going to come is so used to playing, like, Arkham City and things like that, that I think they're not going to be patient enough to sit through a detective drama. That's what this is. There's punctuations of action, like little beats here and there, but by and large, this is not an action film at all. What action's there is quite good, but I don't know that the general audience is going to respond to it as well. I don't think they're going to, like, lambast it, and I don't think it breaks the Batman narrative, so I don't think we're going to have a Last Jedi situation where you have a really positive critical response and a very low audience response. But I do think that cinephiles are going to gravitate towards this, and it's going to be a movie they talk about for quite some time, and general audiences will hit opening weekend, but I think it's going to kind of be a little softer than expectations. The other thing I want to talk about is, this doesn't feel like a movie so much. This felt, to me, like a miniseries, shortened down and truncated to be a film. There's 3 acts in this film, and each act has a beginning, middle, and end. So it feels like this was probably, it could have easily just been cut into a miniseries and dropped on HBO Max. I'm glad it wasn't, because I think the cinema scope for this film is important, but I feel like that's a complaint that could be made. It's not so much a complaint from me, but it's something that I recognized while I was watching the film, and I think it may have played better as, like, more of a serialized story, and I think I'm kind of running out of things to say. This is a very, very strong film. I give it a very firm 3.5 stars. That could grow up to a 4-star rating with time. I actually kind of assume it might. But as of now, I'm giving it a very, very firm 3.5 stars. This is my second favorite Batman movie behind The Dark Knight. I hope you go out and watch it. Let me know what you think of the film in the comments below. After you get a chance to watch it, it's coming out this Friday or Thursday at 7 or something like that. I think 3, actually. Anyway, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll do one of these spoiler reviews, because there's some stuff I do want to talk about. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.